Today, we'll be taking a look at not a camera, but rather a very unique type of film stock. It's very popular amongst analog shooters, especially for shooting night and street scenes, and we'll be exploring what makes this film so special.
So we're at the Hong Kong Pulse Light Festival, which is a one-time event, which is here this winter in Hong Kong, and it's in Tamar Park. And it's perfect for shooting this sort of film because there's a lot of bright lights and it's a dark situation. So let's see what sort of photos we can get right now. Alright, now it's time for the main attraction. We're going to be going into the Carnival, which is a once-a-year sort of event in Hong Kong during the winter time as well. And let's see what sort of lights we get in there. This film is Cinestill 800T, where the T stands for tungsten, which means this film is actually balanced for tungsten light. So in really orange situations like the Carnival here, it's actually perfectly balanced and the lighting should be nice. But in other situations where the lighting is more neutral, you're probably going to end up with a more blue tint. And that's where you get the sort of cinematic look from this film. Yeah, it's crazy in here. There's so many lights, so many things happening, but I can't really talk because it's just way too loud. So this film stock is actually a modified version of a cinema film, the Kodak Vision 3. They removed the ramjet layer from the film in order for it to be C41 processable. So that means you can now have a cinematic looking effect, but in a very consumer friendly and available to the masses sort of way. And that's why this film is extremely popular to use. But due to the removal of the ramjet layer, you actually get one of the most distinctive characteristics of this film. And that's the bright halos that you see around point sources of light. And that's really an effect that you don't really get from any other source of film. So that's what I try to look for when I'm shooting with this film. I try to look for point sources of colored light, and that creates some really nice halos. So this is a great film. It does exactly what its name would suggest, and it brings the wonders of the cinema world to the average stills photographer.
So let's look at some of the photos we actually got back from the shoot. So this first photo here, you can see that because of how the film is actually balanced for tungsten light, when you're actually shooting into more orange colored lights, then the resulting photo will be much more neutral in its tone. Whereas if you're shooting into more neutral light to the eye, then the actual photo will turn out a lot more blue, like you can see in this photo. Here again you can see the sort of same effect. Actually neutral lighting to the eye will result in much more bluish tones, and that's part of the cinematic look of this film. Here you can start to see some of the halo effects that come in, which is one of the defining quirks of this film actually. So you can see in the Carnival lights in the background, around particularly the red colored lights, there's a bright halo, circular halo around the lights. You can see this again here in the lights in the background. And another thing is that when you shoot into more neutral lights, then you actually come up with a bit of a green tint. That's another characteristic of this film. A lot of photos you'll start to see some green tints, particularly in the whites, and so that's just one of the characteristics of this film. So here you can see once again the halos in the background. I was particularly looking for these sort of lights to put in the background because it creates much more interesting images when you have, you know, those halos that are really unique to this exact film. And lastly, this is just another photo I really liked because how the lights were in the foreground, and it's just this really interesting effect at the top of the frame that you don't really see unless you're using Cinestill 800T. So yeah, those are just some of the photos we got from the shoot. I think you can see from the photos that we've taken that this is no ordinary film stock. I highly recommend that you try this film out yourself and see what results you might get.